Yes. Hello. Yes, so my name is Angelique. I do spiritual coaching, I do artistry, I'm an author, and actually, an experience happened with that recently where a person picked up my book for their book club, and I just finished it. Last week was the last reading day, and it was just really powerful to read my story out loud in front of people. This was the first time I had read the book fully through since it's been printed. And I was just like, wow, this is quite an experience. And then I guess I'll just kind of get into it. And then during it, he there's a part in it where I say like teachers are important essentially. And he called me a teacher and he said, and so is she. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, and this person is somebody who I respect and I admire, right? His name is Kelvin Hagen. He's a practitioner at Agape and some other places. Um, but yeah, when he said that, it just kind of hit me different, you know. And that's something we've kind of been having the conversation here in this space, as far as taking on that greatness, that just personal authority and that willingness to share and to be a vessel and to be a leader and just to really, it really is just sharing. And that's the beautiful thing that I'm learning about it. So yeah, I wanted to talk about tapping into your greatness, and Raymel added the extra part of like what's holding you back because you know he be coaching. Um, so yeah, that's kind of who I am and what I do, and I'm so grateful for this space. So grateful for each and every one of you who are here contributing to the conversation, um, because that is how I have been able to like unpack and unfold these things. It's a community conversation. It's not just me and Raymel. Is all of us. So if you wanna comment or come on stage and say, hey, there's a room for you, even though we virtual.
They are embodying with others through who they are, not what they know. So I love that your embodiment, you were able to see that reflection or hear that reflection, see that reflection,
Hmm.
and just receive it. Because even myself with that teacher role for so long, I ran away from it for so long. I'm like, who teaching? I don't know what I'm teaching, because it wasn't something that was in my awareness at the time. But as I started to surrender to the resistance of what that word is and just say, you know what, I am a teacher, because in life I learn lessons, I process them, and then I share what I've learned with others, which in a sense I'm teaching them how to move through certain things that they may be experiencing. And that's the gift that keeps on giving. So I'm excited about today's conversation and just
Hmm.
how this bring awareness to others, because I wanted to bring in the duality of allowing yourself to open up and recognize your greatness, but also what is stopping you from really allowing that greatness to come to life through you. And what's really coming through for me to really go into speaking to what is blocking you. Um, and I had some experiences recently that were very awakening, is what I'll call them. They brought awareness to my blind spots. They brought awareness to areas in which I've grown. And life has a way of mirroring to you what areas you really need to give attention to through And right
Mhm.
now, it's time to go into the student role and really learn what it's presenting to me. And what I've learned over this past week is to express myself in an authoritative way, but not to let myself get pulled into others' energy of chaos, energy of altercation, energy of aggravation, and to be aware of it, but not get pulled into it because then I'm not learning the lesson. Now I'm
Mm.
repeating the same experience in a new way that I'm familiar with because I haven't really honored that student role. So a lot of times we're unaware that life is using experiences, and depending on the lens in which you see them, you're either seeing the gift in it or you're calling it a curse. And a lot of times we call things curse, so we go into the victim character and role, and we're like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? When can I catch a break? When is life going to get better? But life is always pushing you forward. And
Yeah.
if you're allowing yourself to be pushed and you're not fighting to stay where you are, then you're able to see that life is calling you
Mm.
in order to teach, to really allow your greatness to shine. You have to release from within you what's been keeping you in the story of life is against you. So I just wanted to share that. I won't go too in depth into what I experienced because I feel like that energy has passed through me. So I don't even want to bring it back in to let it back out. But I
Mm.
just would say that I'm grateful that I went into an experience really open to learn.
Mm.
And through that openness and through that willingness and through the curiosity of, okay, what is this trying to teach me? I thought it was teaching me one thing, but there was a surprise quiz
Pop quiz.
that I was
Put your
getting
books
was
away,
given. I'm like,
everybody.
oh my God, like I didn't study for this. I didn't know I was having to take this. But
Mm.
it showed me that I was already ready for it. And I had to trust that I was ready. I had to stand in the power that I know I have within me. And I had to stand and just be the example of unconditional love, unconditional just compassion. But you know what, Sister Angelique?
Mm.
I had to learn that that was something I had to do for myself
Mm.
before I can give that to anyone else. So that was one of my biggest lessons is love yourself enough to
Mm.
know when to let something go, when to release what no longer is in alignment with you. And no, because just because something you may have ties to from what we call the past doesn't mean that it's meant to be in your present. And I'll end it there.
Wow. Picked up a lot there. Wow. I really appreciate how you are able to navigate the lesson that you learn from that circumstance and that situation and just share that but not the situation. Like that's so powerful because we can have a tendency to get caught up in the story and keep repeating it and giving energy to it and regurgitating it, and then it comes back to us again and we're like, why does this keep happening? When will I get a break? I laugh when people say that because I don't think I've actually said that out loud seriously, but I understand that energy of like when am I going to be able to rest? Like I'm tired, you know. So I do have like an understanding of what it means, but just to be like, when am I gonna get a break? It's just funny to me. But when we can pull the lessons, right? We can talk about what we learned and amplify our awareness and not the situation that learned us something, you know. Um, and you said something really interesting about the flow pushing at you and resisting it and like having this fight and being like, I don't want to go with the flow, right? And then how that keeps us stuck, and if we just allow ourselves to surrender and be pushed, which is really being pulled because the flow is going somewhere on its own, you just happen to be trying to stop it. Like the water is already flowing downward, it's not pushing anything, it's being pulled downward because of gravity. But if you're standing in the way of it, you're pushing it away. Now it's pushing against you. It's not able to just do what it wants to do. And that's where that surrender is so incredible, because it allows that power to flow through us. And if we are able to recognize that we are pushing against the flow, and we're like, oh, I keep having all of these fights, and have the capacity to surrender and say, okay, I'm going to stop fighting, then life becomes like just this beautiful unfolding, like just all the good things. And there will be other things, like if for this river example, water flowing example, right? Say you're like a little leaf floating on the stream, right? Every once in a while there might be like a log, and you like get clogged up against a log, and then the log will like shift around or float another way, and then you keep floating on. Like that's how you can be. You can be like a leaf, or you can be like a log or a rock and just be like stuck in the river, right? But we get to choose because we are conscious, right? So this is all energy. We don't have to metaphorically like sit down somewhere, try to fly with our physical body or float on water. We get to just choose to be lighter. We get to choose to acknowledge when we are going with the flow or when we're pushing against it. And so you said that, I was just like, wow, that's really powerful, because people don't tend to realize how much resistance I listen me I have not always realized how much I was pushing against and resisting the flow of my life. And that's when that moment with Kelwin in the book club just really helped to open me up, because there was a time when I would like dismiss or you know push away compliments like that. Like people will say things to me like you're a teacher, or you're a great manager, or you're a good auntie, or you'd be a good mom, or like just things that I haven't like really experienced and like prepared myself for, because I still, even though I'm like 31 about to be 32, I still feel like, what is adult, right? So having those types of labels put on you, having people see you that way, it's something that I've had to learn to stop pushing away and stop resisting, because those are things that I do desire to draw into my life. I feel like that is in flow with the life that is my highest life. And so I've had to start to learn to stop resisting. And that's why that statement was just so powerful. But yeah, I would kind of just land that there, because I feel like I need to digest.
No, I love just how you added on to that statement that came through me. And I want to speak to, because when we hear of like opening up your greatness, stepping into your greatness, allowing your greatness, and even when you hear of the word greatness, a lot of times I think that scares people. I know for me, for so long that did, because I interpreted that as perfect.
Mm,
So I thought in order to be great, I had to be perfect. And if I made mistakes, if I had flaws, if there were things that I was still growing through, then I wouldn't consider myself great.
mm,
And I want to bring the awareness to why that may come up for people. And I know why it came up a lot for me is because growing up, I wasn't told that I was great. Growing up, I wasn't told that I was talented. A lot of my talents and things that I had, in a sense, they were somewhat embraced, but they weren't fully embraced to where I felt confident to really showcase and share them. So I hid them in within myself. and then I would kind of let little pieces out during different things. So, for example, one of my gifts that just naturally is what I do is dance. But growing up in a time that I did, dance and being a boy wasn't something that was really welcome. So either that's for girls or that's for this. And when I would do it, though, like the people, my family and things knew that I was good at it because I remember my aunt telling me when I was like maybe 2, 3 years old, and she took me to the movies to go see this movie Breakers, which is like an old pop locking movie. And she said I got out of my seat, went to the front of the theater, and just started dancing. And the whole theater just started clapping and like cheering me on, and I'm not even like knowing that I'm still in they attention what they pay to watch the movie. I'm like, well, watch me. But it was just something that just needed to be expressed through me. And it was hard for me when I was used to hiding it, used to partially sharing it to receive, oh my God, you dance so good. Oh my God, like really the compliments that I would receive from it. It was hard for me to really take that in because I didn't really know that it was okay to share that gift. So for so long, I was in a sense like checking in, temperature checking. Like, okay, is it safe to share it? All right, I'm gonna share it here. Is it safe to share? Oh, they're not open for it. I'm not gonna share it here. And I was in a sense asking for permission to share something that really was the natural gift to me. Hey, Coach Toy. Um, and that right there made me like, and that bled into other areas that I knew that I had a natural talent and gift, but I didn't feel safe to share. So in a sense, my greatness started to be something I kept in a chase. And I would only open it up in certain environments, certain spaces and places, but I didn't want to showcase and share it with the world because once again, my interpretation of greatness was perfect. So if I'm not a perfect dancer, if I'm not a perfect speaker, if I'm not a perfect this, then I'm not great. And a lot of times we have a tendency to compare our gifts, our greatness to someone else's, not aware that we all have our own unique way of expressing and sharing our greatness, sharing our gifts, sharing our light. But often we tend to think that ours isn't enough because it's not the Beyonce, it's not the LeBrons, it's not the Rihannas, it's not the people who we see that they showcase. But I would just like to say that greatness is something that it's a part of who you naturally are. And I would invite you to really look at the environments because this previous experience that I had, it showed me that my environments are very important, especially people that I have in my close proximity. That if you're not feeding me, you're depleting me. And a lot of times we're getting depleted, wondering why we don't have the energy to pursue, to do, to create. And we're just feeling like we are stuck and settling. So that's why it's easy just to go get the bare minimum job, get the bare minimum relationship, get the bare minimum just thing because it's safe. I don't have to try, I don't have to be perfect. I know what I'm gonna get, I know how it's gonna be, and then that's where a lot of people they're stuck or feeling stuck, I should say. They're not really stuck, they're just feeling that way. So they're believing that they are what you believe you will create. So a lot of people are feeling stuck, but a lot of people lack the awareness that your external world is just reflecting to you where you are internally. So as within, so without. And it's through the lessons, it's through the experiences, which we touched on last, or maybe last week or the week before, the experiences. But it's through the experiences is that you're able to truly see how great you are, see how far you've come, but also the awareness of seeing how much more work you need to do. Because we never really reach a place because we're always forever evolving, forever expanding. But are you willing to be in flow? Are you willing to be in the surrender? Are you willing to let go of the resistance? Because a lot of times people don't know what you're fighting for is your limitations. That's really what you're fighting for. A lot of times when people are like, well, I want to do this when this, I don't want to do this until this, but it's what you're saying is that I know better than the universe. That's what you said. I know better than the universe, and I know how it should be. I know when it should be, and I know what it has to be. And the universe shows you you don't know nothing because it's not gonna be any of those. I got a curveball that I'm
Oh
gonna throw
my
you,
god.
and then that's where we go into panic because we weren't ready, not for it to look a certain way, to be a certain way, but for ourselves to show up in
Mm.
a way of power. And I landed there.
Mm. That's funny. It's funny because it's true. It's funny because it's true. And that ties in with the hey Sandra. And that ties in with the perfection and your greatness. Like, why does your greatness have to look perfect? Why are you thinking that? Why are we thinking this? Like, we didn't we didn't know when we were going to be born, now. We didn't know all of, let me speak to myself. I didn't know I was going to live in a shelter for a year. I didn't know that I was going to be living in LA. LA had never crossed my mind growing up. And there's so many steps and moments in between all of that and where I am now that I had no idea, but I feel and I can say I know that it's a part of my greatness unfolding. And that's the beautiful thing about allowing yourself to live and experience life, because you get to see how much is actually out there. Like there really are no limits, and anything can come from anywhere at any time. And that is, it's so beautiful because all of those little serendipitous moments that got Beyonce to be Beyonce, that got Rihanna to be Rihanna, that got Martin Luther King to be Martin Luther King. Even, and that's something else I wanted to talk about. When you're like it's not Beyonce or Rihanna or whoever. It's also not just that person in your life that you admire, right? Like some people admire you a lot, Ray Mel, and you're not the only one who can be great. People can also have a greatness that they feel within themselves when they look at you, because that's where it's coming from in the first place. And that's something I learned, um, like I really got to unpack at Agape. Reverend Michael spoke on that at one point and said something along the lines of the greatness that you're seeing in another person, that power, that divinity, that awesome amazingness that you're seeing, that's you. You're that's in you. And I was like, oh. Because it's so real. And it's like we get anxious about ourselves and who we are, and start comparing ourselves to these, person you admire, to Raymel, to Beyonce, to your favorite teacher, your, a football player, athlete stuff. You start comparing yourself to these people, not realizing just you focusing on embodying that energy is actually what's going to get you there, not comparing yourself to who this person is, you know? And I feel like that's something that has stopped me in my life from achieving my greatness. Um, I I will continue to say this. Did not ever in my life think I would be an author. That did not cross my mind. Ever. I did enjoy writing stories as a young person. I did enjoy writing poetry and journaling and things of that nature. English has been one of the classes I was like guaranteed to get an A. And I just had that, like, brother Raymel, this is why we are on this journey together. Like with Raymel said, I knew I was good at that thing, but I didn't feel like I could be an author with it. I didn't feel like I could tap into it that deeply. And it was mostly because I was so set on one idea of how my life was supposed to be based on what, someone fed to me as a child. And I was like, yeah. And they continued to like feed that enthusiasm. And I feel like as parents, as people who take care of children, it is important to encourage their gifts and their interests. Absolutely. However, when it gets so narrow that the multitude and the kind of pure, like infinite creative possibility that is a child's life, it gets diminished, right? So, kind of rolling it back into the point, I was so set on this one idea of how my life was supposed to be. And after I realized, oh, that isn't how my life is going to be, I had to start figuring out what else I was good at, what else I like to do. And still, writing was not being an author, not here, not here. But what was being an artist, being creative, sharing my story, unpacking my story more, getting to know who I am, being on my healing journey. Like that was what was important to me in the season that this book was originally written. I was diving deeply into myself and I was most interested in myself exclusively. And then I decided, oh, I want to write this down. I want to write down the person that I am evolving from. And then I did that. And then years later, I actually published it and made it into a book. But it took time. It took all of those steps. It took me having to realize like, oh, I can actually be an author. Like I can actually have tangible books and people enjoy it and people read it and tell me that it supports them and that I'm a teacher and that I'm this awesome person and they just really enjoy the work and I can have that and be that and experience that. And then I can do an infinite other number of things. I don't have to just be an author now. Cuz we get stuck in that too, right? Like one thing happens and it's amazing and now we're just going to do that one thing and we're going to lean all the way into that and that's all we're going to do. It's like we get so singular. But the what this has shown me in this season of my life is that this is a possibility that I didn't see happening. What other possibilities will my
Okay.
greatness unfold? Yeah, yeah, and I'll land it there.
I love that.
Hmm.
Just want to read some comments. Sandra says, greatness isn't perfection. It definitely is not.
Hmm.
Your greatness is just being. So, so true. I say yes.
Hmm.
And I love that you brought into just talking about like how you think it may be this, like just one thing that you're meant to do. And then life has a way of pivoting you into a new direction. And I share that because y'all, like, I thought I was gonna be this big supermodel. Like, that was the path I knew that I was meant to take. I would claim it, I would say it. It's who I was, it's what I was, it's what I did. And to be honest, like in the beginning, it was exciting, it was nourishing because I got a lot of perks and good things from it. But then as I was in it, I'm like, this isn't fulfilling me though. Like when I started versus now, that excitement, that drive, that passion isn't there. But I've told myself for so many years that this is what I'm gonna do and what I gotta do. So now what do I do? And
Hmm.
that's where I was stuck in that like, oh my God, so what's next right now? And then I'm like, well, okay, you have to keep your body nice while you was the model, so I guess you got a personal train. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna be the big celebrity trainer. Okay, this is the path, this is the direction. I got clarity now. And then life was like,
Mm.
but this isn't really fulfilling you. Like, you like helping people, you like helping them become better, but this isn't really what's driving you. It's not pulling you. Now you're doing it for the financial perks of it. And I'm like, okay, so now what do I do? Because I thought I was gonna model. I thought I was gonna be this celebrity trainer. So now what is it? And honestly, y'all, I still don't know what it is.
Mm.
I still don't know what it is.
Mm.
But I do know that it doesn't have to be limited to one thing.
Mm.
Because modeling is not something that ended, it's something that I am. Because of the vessel that I was blessed with, it's something I will forever have access to. Personal training didn't end because it's a part of my life, it's who I am. So I just get to share that with others and invite them to support them if they need assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Now I support others through life coaching, through public speaking, through coaching speakers. So there's so many different avenues that I have access to, but I had to release this idea that it was just going to be this path, because you get, when you get so married to what an outcome, and it doesn't happen or turn out in the way that you think it will, that's where the discouragement comes. That's where you
Mm.
start to doubt, will it ever come? So then that's where, as I was sharing earlier, the settling comes about. Well, I guess it's just not for me. I ain't gonna be the Tyson Beckford. I ain't gonna be the Shanti. So I guess I just don't have a lane. They already took all the perks of it, and you go back into this limited perception
Mm.
of what you have access to because you thought that that will be a certain way. So I love that you brought that into it, because for me,
Mm.
that was along the journey where I would get lost because I was attached to, this is it. This is how, this is okay. My greatness means I'm taking photos. I am on these sets. I'm on these runways.
Mm.
And if it ain't that, then I ain't great. And then once that started to just dissipate, I'm like, well, am I great now? Like, what do I do? So you start to have those inner, the self doubt and the questioning yourself, like, well, what do I have? And then that's where the comparison starts to come in heavy. Because when
Mm-hmm.
you think you have a certain way of expressing your greatness, because I resorted back to what Sandra said, greatness is who you, it's a being, it's a state of being, it's not a thing, it's not a service, it's just a beingness of who you are. So when you are expressing your greatness in whichever way that you are feeling called to, then you're just looking at the road ahead of you. Because if I'm looking at the Tyson Beckford, if I'm looking at the Shanti, if I'm looking at everyone else's journey, my car crashing. And now I don't even got
Yeah, we're
nothing to
here
be
like.
great in, nothing to take, because I'm over here running into walls, into rocks, into poles, because I'm over here like, ooh, ooh, okay, Tyson, he did, oh, Shanti, I'm over here just all on the road. Now I'm crashing into other people, messing up their greatness. Because what happens
Mm.
is, now I'm pulling you into why minds can't come to life. And a lot of times we have this savior complex where a lot of people will put their journey on pause to pull someone up, to pick someone up and say, you know what, come and get in my car. And it's not even a two-seater. You riding a motorcycle.
That's on a
That
moped.
you don't even, and it's not even something that like you're meant to have a passenger, is what I'm getting to.
Yeah,
It's meant
yeah.
for you just to be on the vehicle and on the journey on your own. And it's not from a space of isolation, it's not from a place of pushing people away, but it's really embracing where you're being pulled to, embracing what wisdom is trying to download within you. Because once again, it's through the experiences, it's through being present, it's through being curious and open that you're able to see this lesson is for me. And
Mm.
if I'm trying to share the cheat codes and the sheets with everyone else, then they ain't gonna pass it because they got a whole different test
A whole
that
different
they're
thing.
taking. And I'm thinking it's a general test, like I'm the plug. If you need the cheat sheet, I got you. And then people get it and they're like, fool, this didn't even work. I failed.
Mm.
No
Listen.
returns, no money backs. I didn't promise anyone. And now you over here feeling like a fraud. So it's like I share that because even from like this past experience, I noticed when I was trying to go into Savior and it didn't feel right. When I was trying to go into being a teacher for someone that I knew was not a student of mine, it didn't go right. Let me say that again, because a lot of times we are trying to be a teacher to someone who is not meant to be our student, and we're talking to deaf ears. And that's what we get frustrated. That's what we get irritated, because why aren't you listening to me? Why aren't you taking this information that I'm trying to give you that's going to help you? Yes, you can, Sandra. I'm about to add you on right now. Why? And then that's where we get into trying to force. And we become the Jehovah's Witnesses of expansion and growth. And y'all, like, I had to retire that. Hey, Sandra, I had to retire trying to force someone else to hear me. Because if you don't hear it just naturally, it's not meant for you. So I just wanted to bring that into us. We're talking about opening up your greatness and even aware of what is keeping you from really being that expression of the greatness that's within you. It's just really knowing that this journey is meant for you. Because that's where a lot of people are stuck and trying to be that hand. And know that, y'all, we are all the living expression of Source. No one lacks any power. No one lacks any ability. No one lacks anything but a limited mindset that they've created for themselves. So when you start to see others through the lens of who they truly are, then you know, I don't need to save you. I just need to reflect to you by who I am, not what I say, not even what I do, but just who I be. So I'll end it there.
Oh, what a place to end it on. Do you know what I mean? I've been going through things. Okay. How do I explain? I've been on a deep dive for a very long time. God hasn't even asked me, do you want to come up from your deep dive? I've just been, floating in the deep, moving through these changes. And what I was listening to, I'm going to tell you, young lady, you inspire me. Okay? Which all of us are called to do, but you've inspired me. Every time I feel, this is the first time that I've taken a small book and not have read it just all the way through. The divine is allowing me to go to your book when I get into a groove of, I'm tired of doing this. I don't feel, you have that thought process where sometimes you have to allow your ego to have a moment, because your ego is part of you. And sometimes your ego reverts back from lessons that it's already learned in being wholeness. It reverts back to a part of you that you've learned that was separateness, right? So it kind of like it what do you call that when a show it repeats itself on a show, like when you have a show and they show it in a repeat and you get to watch it, right? Right. So your writing, your words, how they flow when you talk about you and what you've been through. There'll be a moment where I'm just going through, I'll just say it, sometimes it's just the self-pity shit that I know better than to do, right? Where I have to have that moment to cry. And then the next time, before I go to bed or when I wake up in the morning, it's like this little voice says, okay, open to the chapter that you haven't read yet. I'm telling you, your book, I should have finished it. It's just what I do. I would have read it all the way through. But the divine has you saying what you've been through, you explaining how you got from there to compromisation of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the divine says, now if she could do it, you can do it, right? It's not a comparison of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's if she could do it, you
Yeah.
can do it. But the divine was telling me, I've been putting off writing this book for, it's been on a back burner. Okay, I'll just say like forever. Every time somebody brings it up, they'll bring it up just randomly. Have you written that book yet? When are you going to have your book out, Sandra? I mean, just random people that come into when I'm having doing soul awakening conversations or whatnot, right? And then I'll say, oh, soon. No, and it ain't soon because it's on the back burner,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the divine, in the last 2 days, the fact that I stepped into this conversation with you talking about, I don't never know, I never would have thought that I'd be a writer. English was the language that I knew, the course that I knew I was going to pass with flying colors. You said these things, you pulled it out of my head and out of my fucking mouth. And I was sitting there going, why is she in there? Why is she pulling those exact same words? Because it was not history, it was not math, it was English. It was every book that I've ever read, every author, every poem that I've ever written, right? And the divine is saying, right now, when you were speaking, if she could do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing it? Right? And then, but I said to the divine, I've been sitting here 2 days writing. Do you know what I've been writing on? I have chapters of everything that I've been taught and everything that I've been teaching. But the chapter that I'm stuck on, it's called Life Contrast Allows Growth, which means that I have to use me as the example, right? And the divine said, right here, right now, if she can do it, why can't you? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, because as I'm writing it, I'm putting it out there going, this is revealing a lot. But the divine says, you've been through a lot because I wanted you to reveal it.
Mm.
It's like, the divine didn't say, I chose this for you. You chose it for yourself, but I wanted you to reveal it because I do have people who need to know, right? But it's like, it's not a comparison to you. It's if she could do it, not even knowing all that she's been through, because all that she has been through is not all in that book. That book is way too small for all that you've been through. There's another chapter there.
Mm-hmm.
But if she can do it, why can't you? I literally have, here, I'll flip my camera. This is everything. Minus the chips. Don't look at the chips. I stress.
All right.
You gotta keep yourself
I'm
fueled
telling you,
up.
it's stress eating. It's papers. It's literally 6 books here, 6 books back here, and it's this one chapter that I have to get through because it's the personal chapter, right? And all I can say is when I came into you guys talking about this, it's not meant to be perfect. It's really not meant to be perfect. It's just write what you're going through, or not what you're going through, but what you went through. You don't have to list everything, but it was like when I got started, it was like I just started the last 2 days, and this is, well, maybe the last 3 days I've been writing this, and as I'm writing it, I've been going, oh, okay, I think I need to throw all these papers away. Just ball them up and throw them away, and literally go and put it on a back burner because I'm not ready to do that. Do you know what I mean? But the thing is, we're looking for perfection. We're looking for the GPT version. That's what we're looking for, and that's what is still encoded and embedded in our DNA, that other people, that we've been told, if you're going to do something, it's got to be perfect.
Oh man.
Right? If it's worth doing, it's got to be perfect. You got to present it. What is that term? You got to come right. Who
Come
comes
correct.
Right? You got to come correct. Who comes correct?
Yeah.
Who comes right? Who comes correct? How is it going to be perfect? Your life, the life that we lived, wasn't perfect. So how can we tell it in perfection?
Sandra, can I pause real quick because I want to just tap on something that you shared that I thought was really powerful before we continue to hear your wisdom. You said that you were here to reveal the stories, like the things that happened. It wasn't so much that the divine chose for us to have challenges, right? Our divinity didn't choose to have challenges. The light is choosing to illuminate whatever happens, because our humanity and the ego and the society of it all, lots of things happen that don't get light. Like we know a lot of people, in the ACEs space, right? People who deal with childhood trauma, and they're doing the beautiful work of having the conversation spaces. Leah's Trauma Drama on Thursdays. I'm so glad that she restarted that in a Zoom space. So it's still an open opportunity for people to share, and it can be safe as far as like social media stuff goes. But the fact that they are there having these conversations about things that don't get revealed, right? Even the more subtler situations, like in my case, I wasn't physically abused. I went to a private school. I always had food. I was in extracurricular activities. However, that subtle emotional manipulation, right? The psychological games, and like the emotional neglect, like those things also need to be revealed, right?
Right.
And I think it's so important that you say, like, I can do it too, because it doesn't have to be a better or as good as, it's just also, I can do it also. And it doesn't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be at the same standard, or even, again, not comparing it at all, better or in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I can just also do that. I know it's a possibility. And I love that you shared that. And also the just being able to reveal all of that. Like, we can all reveal the challenges we've gone through and know that it's safe and valuable, because there are other people out there who are connecting with it, who are going to take time to sit with it and process it. Like Sandra said, she's doing with my book, and I hope to someday do with her book, right? Like, we get to have that opportunity to reveal the light and allow our challenges to be a comfort for someone else to know, oh, I can do this also. So, yeah, I just wanted to pause because I felt like that was really.
Yeah, and I like the way you said it's, I can do that too, and you replace the two with also. It truly is not just two. It's not a two like I could do it the same as her, and that kind of thing. It's That's what the divine is
as
saying.
well.
You can do
You
right
know.
as well,
Mhm.
right? This has been on literally on a back burner for years and years and years, right? This has been on the back burner since before I started Instagram. Okay, it's always been that, and I don't know. I've been on Instagram. I don't know since 2016 or something like that. I'm not sure, but it's been off and on a
You
back
saying that,
burner.
I just realized it's been almost 10 years since 2016. Lord have mercy. Continues.
Right, right. 2016, 17. That
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Mm.
And but my thing is, it's let's use the word like it's like it says, procrastination. What's in procrastination, that's a part of a lower. I heard once that I believe it was in the book of Conversations of God, Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch, the first book.
Okay.
And God was explaining to Neale, he was saying two there is only two levels that human beings um, um, make judgment or either discernment from. That's unconditional love or fear, and everything else falls up under it,
Mm.
right? So procrastination falls under the energy of fear,
Mm.
and it can be variations of why you procrastinate. Some of it is stepping into a new realm of being.
Mm.
It's very scary. And some of it is stepping into the actual realm of creation or creating. Very scary,
Mhm.
you know, and you can, like I said, the easiest term that I use is putting everything on a back burner that I don't want to deal with right now. Just put it on the back burner. Don't even turn on the burner, so that way it won't bubble over, or it won't simmer or whatnot.
Be
No,
steaming out
no
here.
So
heat.
yeah, exactly. See, I think that's what do you call it? Synchronization. The fact that he walked over there with something steaming, you know. And I want to answer. I know now the thingies are going to be in front of me, but
The owl.
Owl 33 said, "Oh, what is the intention of the book?" That's the book. That's the intention is to serve with all that I've learned through the power of the universal laws in my life. The To use my life as example of how I've grown and expanded, and what I had to get used to. I think the reason why it was on the back burner a lot for a lot longer time than it should be is because I was judging what not my triggers, what my trauma was, because
Mm.
I was judging me not. My traumas are nowhere near anybody else's traumas of being sexually abused, being violently abused by their husbands or their
Mhm.
fathers, or even by their parents. Being physically abused by your mother or whatnot. I had none of that.
Mhm.
I lived a very happy. Yes, I had stories and dogmas that were underlined, that drove how I made choices, and sometimes my choices weren't always the best choices, and we'll just admit that, because it took me through stories
Mhm.
of my life, right?
Mhm.
But I was comparing that to other people who had traumas. Do you
Yeah.
see what I mean?
Mhm.
And then I was saying, well, I don't have anything to say because
Yeah.
mine isn't like that. My mother. some people say to me, I wish I had known your mother. I'm not saying my mother wasn't a saint, but in certain areas of my life, she allowed me to grow and to expand and to ask questions. That doesn't mean the rest of my life I was asking questions for her to move me through. She just was a guide, right? But I don't know what her life was like. So how do I write this book? Do I put her in it? How much of her do I bring in it? It's like it's put. I had it. I mean, my brain was like,
Overdrive.
yeah, on over. I was the typical Gemini where I can go into overdrive in a moment, right?
I love that. I wanted to speak to real quick because I love that you brought in the like, in a sense, I didn't go through something super traumatic compared to most, and I feel like even when we speak of like opening your greatness, awakening your greatness, allowing yourself to be the greatness of who you are, that's where a lot of people get stuck because the fact that if we are in a sense comparisons of like, well, I only had like a little like, I had to unlearn some stuff, I had to like, shift some stuff, but I didn't have
Right.
to like heal a wound that was like bleeding so heavy that feels in a sense that, well, maybe I'm not worthy enough to be this teacher, to be this leader, to be this author, to be this great being that others in the world are because they've been through some stuff. They've had to overcome violence, sexual abuse, poverty, and all the things. So who am I to share my little things? And I'm loving that you brought that into this, Sandra, because that's where the ceiling comes for a lot of people because they're like, well, I'm just going to stay in the safety of this whatever thing that they're doing because I don't want to put myself out there. Because when you are like truly putting yourself out there, like Sister Angelique with her book, it's getting attention. She's been invited to spaces to share it, to read it, to support others through it. And with that attention, there's this self question I know for me that comes up. It's like, well, am I able to do this? Like, this is a little something I created. Like, oh my God, like now it feels like all eyes are on me, all the
Right.
attention is on me, and now I have to show up. And what if I do something wrong? What if I say the wrong thing? What if it doesn't resonate? So many internal dialogues and just voices come up. And I love that you brought that into it, Sandra, because a lot of people didn't experience major things. And
No.
that is okay. Because trauma comes in so many different forms, y'all. We live in literally an abundant, infinite universe. So there's an abundant of ways you can feel traumatized. For example, in 2020, the whole world was able to experience the same form of trauma called COVID.
Yes. Yes.
We
I'm
all
so
were
glad you
traumatized
mentioned
by
that.
it, but we all experienced it in our own unique way. So the fact
Yes.
that we were all traumatized by it, some lost people, some lost things, some lost relationships, some lost themselves, and some just used it as a time of reset, recharge, and just reflect. So we all experience the same thing, and I love that like we're speaking about this right now because I feel like that's where a lot of people start to their momentum starts to slow down in the beginning because how it happens, and I'm sure you both can resonate. It's like, but you'll get this download. The universe talks to you in little ways of like subtle ways. It's like, ooh, a book. And then you get this idea, well, I should write a book. Oh, that would be fun. There's so much I could share. There's so much I could say. And then it's like, okay, so it'll send, like for Sandra's, just in Sandra's case, go to this live. Brother Mel and Sister Angelique, they're online. Let me see what they're talking about.
Oh
Oh,
man.
awesome.
And
So
I'm
you see,
talking
like, it
that just
sends
with.
you to the direction in which it is leading you to. But if you're open and willing, you can allow yourself, as we were talking earlier, be in the flow, release the resistance, release things that are keeping you from allowing yourself to be pulled. And then that's where you're literally pulled to exactly what you need when you need it. But a lot of times we don't allow ourselves that ability to be pulled because
Yes. And
we're
I'm.
pulling ourselves back, we're pulling ourselves down, we're pulling ourselves in this idea, well, mine isn't what theirs is, So I guess I'll just get to it when I can because they've been through something bigger. So more people need their message. More people need their support because I mean, Noah have, and I know for me, that was my like kind of hang up is where I learned about the universal laws. There was this sense of excitement, this sense of like, this is what you're meant to teach. And then I got excited and started teaching it right away. And I hadn't really processed it. And I'm like, okay, let me learn different ways of how to share this information. But then it came with the integration. So the integration of this, living it, seeing the results from it is where that self-doubt starts to come up for me. Because who am I to talk about law of attraction and manifestation where my bank account is still going like a yo-yo?
Right.
And that's where my self-doubt will come in. It's like, well, maybe you need to learn this a little more or apply it a little more. And those voices of you're not ready start
Yeah, I
to
was reading. I was reading.
feel as though you're not able. So you're not ready could be, well, right now isn't the time. But then we can misinterpret that as I'm not able to do it.
Yeah, right.
And then
Right.
that's what we never do it. So there's no coincidence, Sandra, that you are in this space right now talking about your creation of a book that has been ringing at you for a while. And I'm just excited to see how it continues to unfold. And even knowing that there's no rush of you have to do it tomorrow, you have to do it next week, but you just want to, like, you're getting to enjoy the process of allowing it to just do what it does come through you. And for those that are chiming in, like, let this be an example for you too, because there may be something you're being called to create. There may be something that you're being pulled to, but are you allowing yourself, for one, to be present, to even hear it, for two, to be open to allow yourself to be pulled to it, and three, know that you don't have to be ready. Like, you don't have to. When I say be ready, meaning all the things on all the boxes don't have to be checked off just yet.
No.
You just need to let it out like you are doing. That's why I love that you showed us your drafts of what you wrote because right now you're getting the momentum going. And how we know about the universe, you give me a little, I'll give you a lot.
Right.
So I just wanted to bring that into it because a lot of times we get lost in, because for me, I did experience Big T. And for so long, I was on the opposite end. I was so ashamed of the big trauma that I experienced, I never spoke of it. But then we're seeing the duality of some people didn't experience that much trauma. And it makes them feel, well, let me not talk about it because I don't want to seem as though, oh, this is all for those who have experienced more. So I'm glad that this came into it because I feel like this is an area where a lot of people become stuck. And that's where the lack of movement starts to keep them in that like slow motion. When I can, oh, they're doing it, I'm gonna sit down. Oh, they're doing it, I'm gonna sit down.
Yeah.
And then they just go nowhere. So I'm glad that we kind of shifted it and brought this into it.
So I want to read. I want to read you something, and you're pretty much. Thank you, Al 33. Yes, I've been learning a lot from the raw materials, the law of one. You know, things have been really changing, but this is what I wrote. Okay, at the beginning of the chapter called "Life's Contrasts Allow for Growth." And I said, and I'll probably stumble because when I'm writing, I forget nouns or verbs. Okay.
What are they?
So I said, I had learned that the contrast of life and my choices in it is how I grow, how I shift, and how I evolve. I have to say, bumping up against the quantum energy of what contrast creates from didn't feel good. It definitely made me uncomfortable. You see, I knew I was conscious of living in a body and living in a mind, but what I didn't know is that I wasn't aware of the being that was connected to me in my wholeness of the experiencing of the contrast of my life. When I gave away to the awareness activating energetically in the movements of me, in the creating of my life, I began to understand that I was already on a deep dive, one that I didn't even ask for. It was a deep dive within myself. It was a travel that I had to become intimate with me. That's so uncomfortable, or at least it felt that way. So I had to say, okay, let me share some of my deep dive with myself. So I'm saying to you, okay, let me share some of my deep dive, my experiences from my perspective with you. And remember, my friends and family and teachers and professors and colleagues and co-workers, I'm sorry, um, that I that are sharing part of my life. It's not from their perspective. It's from my perspective of them as being part of the story that I'm telling you. I now understand that every soul's higher being that took part in my A side of my 45 record, did it on purpose for me. They are on the B side. Therefore, I cannot tell you what they thought or how they thought about what they were doing so that I could experience life. I.e., that would be your grandparents, your parents, your siblings, your husband or wife, your children or grandchildren, your friends, your teachers, your professors, your bosses, and or your co-workers. They share their story, but it's not for me to tell you what their perception is. Therefore, we will not be talking about how they see it, only how I saw them in my story. That's where I placed them in my story. I did it on purpose for a reason. And now I find I have no control over their narrative, but only over mine. Also, I know this. I don't believe in transparency. So I'm not sharing me with you for your judgment, for your scrutiny, or for your approval or disapproval. My intent is to inspire, to motivate, to educate and edify, to help you explore the long awaited question to yourself: who am I really? So,
That's
you
like
know,
just I love that, Sandra.
Yes,
I
thank
feel
you.
like
Is
that.
that from the chapter that you were talking about?
yeah, that's from the chapter. I mean, there is more. You know,
Mm.
I don't know how long you guys have, but I just kept,
Yeah, we
I
Not
kept,
have
not too much longer, but
not
yeah,
I
much
really
longer.
appreciate you taking the
yeah.
time to
So,
be vulnerable and to share. And I'm really looking forward to reading your book. Now I
You know what
really,
this means, Sandra? Because you've already given us
right, you
sort of
just teased
what's
us, and
happening.
now I'm
Read us
like,
a piece of it. So now
mm-hmm,
this means that it has to come to life
yes,
because
yeah,
it's like you gave us a trailer to a movie that's coming out, and now we need to release things.
mm-hmm,
right,
Which I mean, that's gonna happen, but you see, like
yeah,
now
yeah.
it's out there.
It's out
What
there.
the world knows now, it's like we're gonna be in your ear, like Sandra.
right.
What's the status? What's
Tell me
going
about
on?
it. Where you at? Where
Yeah.
can I get
And
it?
you know what gave I'm gonna go back to you, Angelique. The fact that I looked at I've got this book right here. Hold on. I'm sorry. I've got this book right here. It's always by me. And I'm gonna tell you, it inspired me to get away from or get out of my head because I was looking at a book having to be 100 pages. I was looking at this book having to be a big, thick hardback. I was looking, and I'm going, I don't think I have enough to say,
Mm.
let alone type. Do you know what? When I saw the expression of this book in a notebook form, it was so creative. It was like,
Mm.
going back to God saying, you may not do it in exactly that way, But if she could do it, you can do it too,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Get creative. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it's it's the fact that you did this. You made these personal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? So it was
Mm.
like, okay, so I can get outside of the natural story that everything has to be in a straight line.
Yeah.
You know, everything has to be like how Michael Beckwith did his books. I mean, he did his series of books, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was going, oh, I want to be like him. I want to do, his books. I want to do like Michael Singer. I want to do like Neil Donald Walsh. I want to do like, what's the one from, uh, the three books that she did, The Secret, you know,
Oh, Shonda
and it was
Rhimes.
like, right, but
Mm.
what is the what does that say? That's comparing myself to them,
Yeah. And your
right?
greatness is your own. That's the whole
Am I
point of
great?
our conversation. Yeah.
Right.
We don't
And
have to
my
do that.
and exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
what have you guys
it's
been talking about? Your
using
greatness.
your own unique way of doing, because everything, as we know, is a mirror. So
Mm-hmm.
even when that reflection came through from Sister Angelique with her creation, it was just showing you that you have it in you too. And that's
Right.
the beauty of it. It's like when we're opening ourselves up to see the reflection, then the inspiration starts to get bigger, and then the inspiration becomes the motivation that makes it be what. So you're already in that flow, and I want to
Mm.
bring it to just the collective of, because I feel like, Sandra, where you are, a lot of people are, and I feel like there's no coincidence why you're being the vessel to express your experience with something that you're being called to create.
Mm-hmm.
And because one thing I can say, and this is just giving you your flowers in your face in real lifetime, but Sandra, you have a lot of wisdom. And I really look to you for like that. I like to say, like, you're like that, just that soul that, like, I know when I'm in contact with, that there's going to be it's like an energetic of wisdom exchange.
Mm.
It's like you get me, you hear me, you see me. I get you, I hear you, I see you. And I feel like how you show up, when I first started to follow you, and you had, like, you were going live every, like, pretty much every day. You were reading, you were having chats with Sandra, you were popping onto other people's lives. And I'm like, I was so inspired by you. Cause I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, wait, okay, I need to step up my
She's
life. I
out
need to
here.
share, like, but and I love what you were reflecting to me, because at
Mm.
times we can get in our mind.
Mm.
We can get
Yeah.
lost in the thoughts of, like, well, nobody's paying attention, no one's listening. This, whatever the mind is telling you. But then when you see someone doing what you know that you're being pulled to do, it's like, well, okay, she's showing me what it looks like, so now it excites me to do it. And I would see how you showed up, see how you showed up, see how you showed up. Even as you were just navigating through things that you were experiencing, you kept showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm like, she has so much wisdom that she knows it will do a disservice to others if she just lets it sit in her. So she's like, she has her podcast that I've been honored to be on more than once. She has
Mm-hmm.
her readings that she does, and most importantly, she has this light that she shares. So I just want to give you your flowers and just
Mm.
reflect to you that you are such a beautiful light, Sandra. And it's no
Mm-hmm.
coincidence that that book has been calling at you, because the
Oh,
world needs that. I like to say that's like one of my biggest things, as like I am sharing my greatness, is I really want to just plant seeds that live beyond my time here. I've said it, I will say it until I have no more breath. But that's my intention with everything that I do. I want to help others become aware while they are in this human form. But when I release, it ain't about me. It's not
right.
about Ray Mel, because what Ray Mel thinks is about what he needs to do, then that's where the perfection comes in. That's where it has to look a certain way. It has to be a certain way. And that's where it doesn't happen, because I get in my own
Mm.
way. Versus when I say, life,
Yeah.
how do you want to express through me? Whatever webinar, whatever content, whatever thing that I'm being called to create, I'm like, okay, how do you want to express through me? I
Right.
surrendered. And then
Mhm.
that's where sometimes it'd be a mess. Have you ever attended my
Owl
webinars
33
like
said,
maybe it
just like
flow?
you said, you were planting, you just want to plant seeds that you have after you're gone. He says, just a farmer
A
planting
farmer planted
seeds.
seeds, exactly.
Yeah.
But like it's a mess at times and it looks messy, but
Mhm.
I got out of wanting it to look a certain way because I've been blessed to work with just people who are doing like who are global or not even because I am global. Let me rewind that because you are global. Okay, like don't
Yeah, you
discredit your
are. Yeah.
globalness. Don't discredit your globalness. But for example, like I've been blessed to be like close proximity with Lisa Nichols, and seeing
Hmm.
someone who is running a multi-million-dollar company, but they still have hangups. There's still malfunctions. There's still things happening, and I'm like, so that means that my little hiccups I have in my little webinars and master classes, it's
Mhm.
normal. So once I started to see it on all different magnitudes, I realized it's not about what it looks like. It's about what energy you give it and how you're showing up as you're stepping into your greatness, sharing your greatness, being your greatness. And I just hope that this conversation inspires others to take action, y'all. Because one thing I know is that we're not promised tomorrow. All we
Mm.
have
No, we're
is
not.
today. All we have is today. And what can you do today to share your light, to
Mhm.
share the gift of whatever way that it wants to express through you, and just do it scared, do it messy, do it
Ju-
afraid, but
Right.
most
Just do
importantly,
it.
do it.
Right? Just
Mhm.
do it. I'm going to tell
Absolutely.
you, once you said that you were, you mentioned that you, uh, uh, the global and
Your
being
globalness.
close to Lisa Nichols. Let me tell you, my 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 intention that I made coming into Instagram, sharing this information, the law of attraction, all the information, my intention and what I was shown through many dreams from the divine on a gradual scale up through the dreams ended up showing me on a stage with Michael Bernard Beckwith, right?
Mm.
Okay. And I never asked how, and I never asked when. I just said, okay, let it be so. And when I think about it, I may not be on that stage right now, but the I'm on the path because I met you, Raymel,
Mm.
and you go to Agape. I
Mhm.
look
Mrs.
at that,
Angelie,
Mhm.
right?
she works
And
there.
Angelique, but when I met you, right? Okay, right now I don't have a car, and it's very expensive to get from Long Beach to Agape. But he has, you can go on. He has his YouTube where you can listen to him live from
Mhm.
YouTube and whatnot. So that's not really a problem for me. But the thing is, when I opened my spiritual eyes, and the divine said, "Well, do you see what I just showed you? You met somebody who's there.
Yeah. You're
You're,
in the flow of it.
right
Yeah.
in the flow of it,
Mhm.
right? So if you met him, who's to say that I'm not going to have you meet someone else?
Right.
That it's that yellow brick road that I get to create. That at some point in time, either Michael's going to be on a podcast or going to be on a stage, or you know, a what do you call it? I might go to a what do you call that? A convention, or
Mm.
just to shake a hand or whatever. It doesn't actually. I'm realizing that it doesn't actually have to be the stage, though it could be.
Mhm.
It
You
must
know,
be.
And
right?
like you said, it'll be whatever you allow yourself to experience. Back to the flow,
Exactly.
like we were talking about earlier. I'm not sure if you were there at the beginning of the hour,
No, I missed the beginning,
but
but
we were talking about Mel said this beautiful thing about um, we are pushing against the flow and causing resistance in our lives. And we kind of unpacked how when we release the pushing against the flow, we can just allow ourselves to flow. When we release the resistance, things just come to us. We allow more to happen in our lives. And like you're saying with this situation, you have this vision, we can tend to be like, oh, it's on this pedestal, this is my greatness, and then just get so, yeah, just again, just so laser focused in on a one thing or a few
Yeah.
things, and it has to
Yeah.
happen that perfect way. But what I'm hearing you say is that you are not so caught up in all of the specifics of it, that you're just really allowing yourself to flow through it. And I think that's a really beautiful kind of circle back to the top of our conversation. You really just, you're right in alignment.
Yeah. And the thing was, going through everything that I've been going through for the last couple of months,
Mm,
that peripheral vision got narrowed for a while because I was vibrationally and transformally and trying to activate the energy in the healing process and being very laser focused, that so narrowly focused. Not a bad thing, because you sometimes you need to take time to be focused on one thing so that you can alchemize your healing and whatnot.
mm-hmm,
But at the same time, it can be a very lonely moment. You, it's not lonely. It's feeling alone in the process, right? Because sometimes I believe that the Creator says you got to take time for yourself, and that time meant that literally I was not online as much.
mm,
I didn't have the opportunity to do my Soul Conversation podcast. My Oracle and Light Language was on hold. Just everything was on hold, right? And I wasn't there. And what happens then is that, and come on, I'm just going to give it real time. I'm not only I'm spiritual, yes, but I got a physical body, and I got a ego of a mind that will help me, and it thinks by helping me it's going to bring back, you're going to have to start all over again now.
mm.
You're going to have to, you know uh, it's not going to be easy starting all over on Instagram, because you're going to lose some of your followers.
Yeah,
I'm
it
going to
gets
tell you that.
dramatized. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that. But see, that would have, staying in that mode would have taken away from my healing. So
Mm,
I would, you know, put that, kind of go into meditation, put that on, not a back burner, but have a talk with my ego and say, put it on check. We got this.
mm.
We're going to come back. But the divine was also dropping me these little nuggets that when you come back, nothing's going to be the same. It's going to be better.
Yeah.
And actually asked me, Sandra, is that okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
And I went, what, better is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if my Gemini mind is going, well, how does that mean I'm going to get the itchies again, the uncomfortable feeling?
Mm-hmm.
That what that meant is,
Yes.
ooh, I'm about to dive a little deeper into the recesses of me. Oh shit, that's going to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna fire up, some, maybe not situations, but some deep questions that I gotta ask.
Yeah. Some work to be done.
Mhm.
Absolutely work to be
Exactly.
done. And we can get scared of that work and not step into our greatness because we don't feel like we have the capacity for it. But
Yeah.
if any of us are an example,
Yeah.
absolutely can. You're absolutely capable of expanding your capacity. I
Well,
really
that's why
appreciate
I
you
picked up
sharing,
the book.
Sandra. Yeah, yeah.
That's why I picked up the book instead of jumping right back into Soul Conversations, the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, and we gotta pick what
And Lord
feels right
Jesus.
at the
Yeah.
time, right? So what are your
That's it.
closing thoughts, Ray Mel? I know you got something to say.
I would just say I'm just so grateful for this conversation. I'm grateful for all the contribution, whether through the comments. I'm grateful for you, Sandra, for coming up and just sharing so openly, authentically, organically. And
Mhm.
I want to just say what's really pulling for me is even like how you shared that sense of feeling alone. Because I feel like a lot of times we have that feeling of feeling alone when we are in experiences. And what I learned through that feeling of feeling alone is I wasn't asking for what I needed. And
Mm.
a lot of times we feel alone because instead of allowing others in, we push people away. And even in support of opening up to your greatness and being in your greatness, along that journey, you're going to need help. And we don't know what we don't know. And a lot of times we try to figure it out, and it takes such a longer path versus someone who has already figured it out and can help us out. But we
Mhm.
won't know
Exactly.
how to receive the help if we don't say, hey, I'm in need. Um, don't be afraid to ask for what you need. Don't be afraid to release what you know isn't pulling you up, but you know that it could be pulling you down. And it doesn't have to be attached to a physical person. That could be your own thoughts, your own feelings,
Oftentimes it is.
your
Exactly.
own actions. Like,
Yeah.
it all starts with self and then it projects to everyone else. So
Mm.
just really allowing yourself to receive the support, because during, like, and I can say for myself, I didn't get to where I'm at with just Raymel. I needed a whole tribe. I needed a whole
Absolutely.
community. And through that, like, that's how I was able to be where I'm at, because I was able to
Mm.
lean on others when I didn't feel like I had it within myself, and then I can give to others because I had it within myself. So it's the gift that keeps on
Mm.
giving. So, oops.
Lights
Oh,
out,
Hi,
cameras
Melissa.
off. It's
Hi,
time to
hi,
go.
Melissa.
so I will just
Yeah.
leave it there and just say thank y'all for this conversation. Thank y'all for
Yes.
just allowing me to just grow each weekend, because like literally this is
Mm.
how I do. There is no perfect anything. Once again, greatness does not mean perfection.
Mm.
It just means that you're doing your best every single day to be the best version of yourself. Is what
Mhm.
greatness is for me, and I'll
Yeah.
leave it there. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you
Yes.
all.
Thank
We
you.
will not be here next week.
Oh
Um,
yes.
I'm going on a
Oh,
field trip with the young folks, so that's going to be an all day experience. But
wonderful.
we'll catch you all the week after that. And also, another reminder, we are cooking up some fun things this year. We are expanding Healing Conversations into some other sort of forms and avenues, so make sure you're looking out. And later this year, I'm thinking September ish, we're planning to do a Healing Conversations in person. So it'll be a very intimate event. So, yes, I'm really looking
Also,
forward
I
to it.
wanna
Yeah.
I wanna say to you, I hope that you get in touch with Henry
I did.
from
I did. We can talk about that offline. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Mhm.
because that made me so happy when you DM me about doing something
Yeah.
like that. It was like, oh man, this is moving
Yeah.
vibrationally, you know.
Yeah, yeah, we
So
have
thank
been
you.
in touch, and I will definitely update you on what we kind of talked about, and I'm really looking forward to that as well. But yes, that's like another
So I
kind
want
of
to thank both of you
situation.
for letting me read a little bit of what
Absolutely.
I wrote. Thank you so much. Thank you both for being my inspiration. I just want to
We
I just want to tell you